Hi everybody, this is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority with another Healing Matters today. And today we are going to talk about anti-aging. And there's a lot of things that we can talk about to anti-aging. Aging well, but with the relationship to what's the number one thing that you can do to age well, and converse of that, what's the number one thing that's actually making you not age well? Not age well, and in fact, even probably die sooner than you really should. It's probably the least thought of thing that you would think of, and it's the furthest away. It's actually your feet. Your feet, taking care of your feet. Why? Well, toenail fungus, foot bacteria, these different types of things, which is very, very common, that gets into your bloodstream. It can cause things like what's called cellulitis, and once cellulitis can get into the bloodstream, you can die. Now, the other thing too is it doesn't have to be a super tragic thing. It can just be you're getting wrinkles, you're not aging well, it's stress on your heart. Why? Well, your feet, being in shoes, being in socks, always being wet, is a potential for growing fungus, the toenail fungus, which is very, very common, and then other bacteria, athlete's foots, and these different types of things. In the military, that's one of the number one things that they teach you about, which is change your socks often. Keep your feet dry, okay? Why? Well, number one, your feet is the furthest place away from your heart. And so your immune system has to go through your heart. Your immune system has to go through your bloodstream. Your immune system is what's essentially attacking any type of foreign bacteria, fungus, this type of stuff. Now, getting the blood flow there and back is tricky because it's at the bottom of the hill. And again, if we're talking about, let's say, the environment of the feet, if the feet are wet all the time, a good example is the men that, or women who work in a nice job and are wearing these nice dress shoes where their toes are smashed together, and then wearing polyester socks, those nice expensive socks, that does not allow for moisture wicking. And then being in leather shoes and tennis shoes and all this other stuff, where you are constantly having an environment of this wetness, okay, which is a warm, dark, and moist is a perfect environment for things to grow. Now, people get toenail fungus under their nail, and they think, well, that's just very common. Well, have fun trying to treat that. You even go into your podiatrist, and the podiatrists don't have a real good way of dealing with that. Now, sometimes they can use laser treatment. Now, you can say, I do my tough actin, tenactin, and I use these, athlete's foot spray. That's not good enough, and quite frankly, it can actually be really dangerous because these are bad chemicals, okay? These chemicals get into your bloodstream as well. And it's a poor excuse because you're not taking care of the environment. I can just be in my tennis shoes all day long and wear my socks and everything like that, and and then sometimes even worse, which is in your Crocs. People wearing Crocs all the time. These rubber shoes that literally you're swamp foot, okay? So number one, taking care of the feet, and like I said, is it's once this stuff starts, especially the toenail fungus, it can get up underneath there and it can start, to invade and start to get into the bloodstream. Now, your bloodstream is constantly scavenging and going through, and if you have a constant infection, chronic infection, low-grade infection like that, then your body is robbing Peter to pay Paul. And as I've said before many, many times, your wrinkles, grandma gets wrinkles, grandpa gets wrinkles, and your facelift, you keep doing, okay? The reason you get wrinkles, especially in the face or anywhere in the body, is because number one cause is because you're losing bone structure. Number two is because you don't have enough collagen. That's vitamin C. So taking vitamin C helps to plump up the skin, make the skin more collagen. And people can even take collagen and stuff like that. But that cannot overwhelm the bone loss. So as your eyes start to get the crow's feet and you get the cracks around your mouth and stuff like that because we lose jaw. So the number one infection would be dental infection, okay? that goes straight to your heart and everywhere. Now, how does that relate to bone loss? And also, like I said, you put on top of that bad toes, bad feet, chronic toenail fungus or toe feet, or the athlete's foot that's in between the toes. Your body has to deal with that. And the way that your immune system works is just like any worker, construction worker, they don't do it for free. They don't do it because they love you. They need to be paid. So how does your immune system get paid? It gets paid in minerals. Everything gets paid in minerals. On a cellular level, yes, we eat food, but that food then breaks it down into different vitamins and minerals. And minerals are the most abundant thing in the body in terms of, that's our bones. And our bones are stored minerals. And yes, it's your skeleton. You need your skeleton. But also, the skeleton is a reserve. We actually make more skeleton than we kind of need, but we do need it, right? And you'll know when you get grandma and you fall down and you crack a hip, or your bones become very brittle and you get osteoporosis or osteopenia. Why are we losing that bone? Because I know plenty of old people who don't have wrinkles and don't have poor bones. Why? What's the difference? They have a better immune system, or they have better hygiene. Hygiene is a huge thing. How clean do you keep your body? You brush your teeth, you wash your armpits, you wash your butt, but do you take care of your feet? Now, some of the other conditions where it can be really, really bad is diabetes. Diabetes, because it causes lack of circulation to the extremities, and so you get more prone to these infections. And when these infections, so let's say a hangnail or an ingrown toenail, can be the death knell for a person with diabetes. Heart disease is also another indicator. We get that bulge on top of the feet, which is where people start to get fluid on the top of the feet, right on the top of where those tendons are. Kind of almost like you would think about the back of the hand. That's the back of the foot, the top of the foot. You start to get a bulge there. That's a sign of blood flow issues. Walk around and look at people's feet. You can see people, and especially in the summertime, and you can see that a lot of times they get this where they're swollen below the knees. You can see where it starts to turn a darker color, almost like their legs, they've been stomping in grape juice. And then sometimes it even starts to get like a waxy appearance. What that is it's the buildup of waste products. Basically, like when you were a little kid and you were wearing your snowsuit and you peed in your snowsuit, or you pooped in your snowsuit and it went down into your boots. That's what's happening when you see that darkened skin. And that's a sign of kidney issues. That's a sign of heart issues, okay? But that's a perfect breeding ground for these bad infections in the toes. Now, people also say, my legs look fine, my legs look great, okay? But look at their toes. You can see a lot of the toes are smashed together because being, in the smashed together toes. That's why some companies like Eco is a good company that makes good shoes, where they make a very wide footbed. Some of the better shoes that a lot of old people like to wear are New Balance as far as tennis shoes, because they're bigger at the toes. Again, what are the perfect foot? What's the perfect toe? Tarzan feet, Tarzan toes, where the toes are not all smashed together, where the toes are spread apart. Why? You get more airflow in there. Making sure you're changing your socks every day, sometimes even a couple times a day. And then when you don't have to wear shoes, don't wear shoes, right? Sandals is a great thing, okay? You'll notice a lot of Asians wear a lot of sandals their whole life. A lot of Indians wear a lot of sandals, okay? And part of it is because of taking care of their feet, but also they get the problem too. Now, there's also foot care, washing your feet, okay? So one of the things that I've learned to do, and again, when you clean your feet and you clean this, it actually cleans the whole body. We'll talk about foot soaks. There are these foot detox things that you can do, those foot baths that people go, that's a scam. Like they're telling people that it's pulling toxins out of the feet. No, it really does pull toxins out of the feet. There's mud packs that you can do. But let's just go back to the basic, which is number one, cotton socks. Cotton socks or wool socks are way better if you have to wear socks, okay? But changing them often. Another thing In your shower or your bath routine, get used to this. And it's not just sticking your fingers in there and soaping your feet. You got to scrub inside there. So get like a hand towel. I'll do this in the tub or even in the shower like I did this morning. And you've got the shower curtain, move the shower curtain a little bit and sit on the edge of the tub while the shower's going on you. Put a little soap on, let's say, a loofah or a sponge, or also on like a hand towel. Put a little soap in there and go in between all of your toes. And in fact, even do it pretty vigorously where you're scrubbing inside there and you're actually massaging the toes. You're massaging the feet. When you massage the feet, you're actually getting that bad stagnant blood flow. So why does the fungus grow there? The fungus grows there because there's stagnant blood flow. You don't have enough oxygen in your feet. Where's the oxygen come from? It comes from your breath, but it comes from your heart. Your heart is pumping oxygen. It's also pumping lymphatic fluid, and the lymphs tend to get jammed, which means we don't send good, basically, your army doesn't go there. The police force is there to say, hey, you're not supposed to be there, to keep it from, if it does grow, to kill it. Well, so why does it grow so much? Like I said, because of blood flow. So scrubbing the feet with the toes and even massaging the feet, getting your hand and massaging the toes, basically making your toes go back and forth like this, going in between them, really crunch them. Have somebody, or even yourself, see if you can crack your toes, pull them like you, listen to this, cracking your fingernails or cracking your knuckles. Crack your toes. Another thing that you can do is just take your toes and basically when you're standing in the shower, curl your toes under and put some weight on it. If you get really good, you can stand on your toes, not just up on your tiptoes like, Michael Jackson, but even standard. This is in martial arts. This is something that is well done. This is in ballet and gymnastics. A lot of people will do that, which is they walk on their toes folded under. Now, you may not be able to get to that point, but you can get to the point where you can curl them under and put pressure on them. That helps to literally massage the toes and start to pump the fluid and pump that stuff out of there, okay? And then sometimes, too, a really good thing at nighttime is actually putting some oil or some lotion in between your toes. Whether it be the Jergens or something like that, but even better, coconut oil. Coconut oil and olive oil carries lots of oxygen. Now, you can also get this ozonated, like a coconut oil or olive oil, which has ozone, which actually has oxygen. And oxygen kills these bacteria, kills the feet fungus, which is the toenail fungus, which essentially it's a mushroom. You're growing mushroom on your toes. Okay, yes, I know it's unsightly, but it's really dangerous because it can get up into your bloodstream. And also, it's a constant barrage that causes your body to constantly be fighting something that it has a real difficulty, especially if the feet are always wet all the time. That is what's causing the aging. The premature aging is just the more your body has to rob Peter to pay Paul, and the harder it has to. It's like driving down the road with your foot on the brakes. Not only are you wearing your brakes out, but you're also wearing your engine out. Take your foot off the brake. Don't ride the brakes, Grandma, right? Okay, so take care of your feet. So the ozone is really good. Also, colloidal silver. You can get this colloidal silver spray or this colloidal silver gel. Put that in between the toes and go to sleep with that at nighttime. That's a really good thing so that it overnight can tend to kind of soak in there, and it's the oxygen that's healing this. So you can heal the toenail fungus by getting more oxygen into the toes and the athlete's foot, not just that powder or not those chemicals. Use something natural, okay? Also, foot soaks. We're talking about get like a dish tub and put hot water and Epsom salt, okay? Now, this is something that's well known for people who have, let's say, diabetes and get, let's say, a ingrown toenail. How do you fix that? Well, first you soak the feet in, they say, either warm soapy water or warm Epsom salt or warm hydrogen peroxide. Get the dish tub and pour some hydrogen peroxide in there. That's going to also add oxygen. And you'll notice that on that bad toenail, it will bubble up. You can even take and pour some hydrogen peroxide right out of the bottle right onto the toe and get, let's say, a toothpick or like your tweezers, and don't poke yourself, don't hurt yourself, but see if you can get it up underneath there and massage all around the toenail bed. So not just underneath the toenail, but right where you see where the toe, like the fingernail, where it's growing out of. The cuticle. We have cuticles on your toes as too. And a lot of times when people get the toenail fungus, it gets up underneath there, not just up underneath the toe. It's getting up underneath where the toe nail is growing out of. Okay. You can get these foot soak things. Yes, it's nice to sit there with and kind of the foot massager, but it's really good to keep the feet clean and keep essentially the circulation going. There's another thing that you can do to actually pump more circulation, and that's what's called contrast therapy, which is you get a dish tub of hot water and a dish tub of cold water with some ice cubes. And what you do, so again, if your feet are like a dirty sponge, how do you clean that sponge out? You're going to go into the cold water and then the hot water, then the cold water, and let it sit there for maybe about a minute, 2 minutes, and you'll go back and forth. The hot water is expansive and makes it swell up and brings blood flow, and the cold water is contracting and actually contracts and squeezes the blood flow up. And so if you do that, a session of, let's say, 10 minutes of between 5 to 10 minutes of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, hot, cold, finishing with cold, that's the contrast therapy. Then you lay on the floor with your legs on the back of a chair or on the back of the couch, or let's say lay in your bed with a whole bunch of like pillows, like the couch cushions, so that you look like an L shape. This is called super elevation, because we're trying to get where's this stuff going to go? It's not just going to come out of your feet. It just doesn't slough off. Although your body can build this stuff in this kind of waxy material that you have to wash off your feet. So your feet can detox, but it has to go up to your heart, into your kidneys, into your liver, into the bowels, into the urine, so it can be excreted out. You've got to pee and poop out that junk that's in your feet. And then also, when you take the bad stuff out, then the good stuff in. Bad blood comes out, good blood with oxygen and nutrients, as well as your immune system of the infection fighting things of the phagocytes and the white blood cells and all these stuff to clean this stuff out, right? And making up for these feet being locked up in these, dirty environment and being choked off and being too wet, swamp foot. Summertime, using sandals. What are some of the best sandals? Just like a Birkenstock, that's natural. It's an all-natural material. Birkenstock or other ones. Not a big fan of the rubber ones. Like, see if you can find natural materials. Natural materials of so Birkenstock is leather and cork. And so your foot is really connected to something that is all natural, but it allows it to breathe. Also, a good leather, what would you call it? Moccasin. A good yellow. I did this for a couple years of where I walked around with even in the wintertime, nothing but moccasins. And if it was really cold, I would put on, wear some cotton socks in between, or I would wear some wool socks, but it usually was just bare feet and my moccasins. That allowed me to ground, okay? Grounding where it's nothing between you and the earth, nothing foreign, even bare feet. Grounding is another great thing. During the summertime, get your bare feet out there in the grass. People, the grass is dirty. The microbes that are in the dirt and in the ground, plus the electromagnetics in terms of pulling stagnant energy out of your body and putting negative ions up into your feet, that goes throughout your whole body. It actually helps to keep the feet healthy and the whole body healthy. Like I said, this whole video and podcast is all about how do I age well? Most people, we think about the creams and we think about the supplements and the juicing and I eat healthy, but they don't think about their feet. They don't think about their teeth and they don't think about their feet. Those are the number one causes for having aging problems, as well as disease. Disease of, what is disease? Disease means it's an infection. Anything that's a disease means that something's growing inside your body that your body can't fight off very well. But see, it's not even about the fight. it's about, well, why did it grow there in the first? Well, it just attacked me. Things can only grow when the terrain allows it to. So infections like fungus and stuff like that only grow where there's lack of blood flow, where where it's not a clean environment, as well as it's not a healthy nutrified. So it's starving. The little poor kids in Ethiopia that get sick from everything is because they're starving. So as your feet starving from blood flow and lymphatic flow and interstitial flow, which is this fluid, almost like a liquid, like water. Water, literally your feet need water, okay? And then there's, like I said, there's some other different types of different foot baths. The Rife machine that includes a foot bath, like a foot soak. There's these electrosonic type of things. There's electro detoxers that pull stuff out. Mud packs. You can get this mud pack material, okay, from me, and doing what's called the downloads, doing the bottom of the feet, doing the top of the feet. This starts to pull poisons out of the feet, but it also does an electromagnetic, basically pulls negative, which is actually positive energy, pulls bad energy because your body is supposed to be connected. And when your feet get disconnected, and what's one of the number one things that disconnects the feet is rubber shoes, rubber-soled shoes, and even your Crocs. Your Crocs are, I'm going bare feet. You're wearing your Crocs, or I'm wearing my rubber sandals or my foam sandals. No, those are not good. Yes, it allows the air to get to your toes, but it's not a good material. And if you notice, when you wear those Crocs with just your bare feet, your feet get really, really sweaty because it doesn't allow the moisture. So natural materials. So if you can find like these grass made, the old, like if you ever go to Cancun, something like that, you'll see them selling on the street. They're really hard to find. You used to find them everywhere. Now they're hard to find. Those are the best shoes to wear. Also, bare feet. Bare feet is the best thing to do. Now, one of the problems with people with bare feet is that if you've got a fallen arch, if you got really flat feet, it's difficult for people to walk around on their bare feet. So I'm wearing them right now. I have them in my shoes. So you can get what's called a strap-on arch support. This company, Ace, makes them, or number ones. It's like this neoprene. And yes, it holds on to some moisture, but the moisture, it's really the toes. It's really the toes. So walking with bare feet is about getting airflow in the toes, because that's where we get the problems is really the toes. So it's not really underneath the arch of the foot. It's not really. So if we've got any fungus that's on, or the bad calluses, it started in the toes and then moves up the feet. Okay, so this arch support is really great if you're having difficulty walking in those sandals that don't have a good arch support, or walking barefoot. You can get these strap-on arch supports. Like I said, it's a little neoprene that has like a Velcro strap, and you can stick these inserts, which is these little plastic inserts. They have two of them that come in there so that you can pick which one do I want. I want the dark blue or a light blue. It depends on the firmness as well as how high the arch is. And that is something that can go in there, in that arch, so that you can walk bare feet without having it. So when people get plantar fasciitis, okay, that's typically coming from the flat feet. But plantar fasciitis is another issue, and most people don't know this, is that it's actually coming from your calves. Your calf muscles are the muscles. So if you look at the back of your calves, if you follow that down, so the muscles and also what's called the fascia that's underneath the feet, where the arch would be, where most people feel where they have really bad pain from their plantar fasciitis. The fasciitis is talking about the fascia at the bottom of the feet. Why is that become so tight? It became so tight because the muscle that's higher than that is pulling on that. So a great treatment for plantar fasciitis is actually rolling out your calves, getting a foam roller, massaging that, really digging into that, and really getting and then also calf stretches, like stand on like the steps where the toes are on the steps and then the heel is going down, it's what's called a negative, and it's going down, and that's stretching the back of the calves. Those what's called the muscles called gastrocnemius and soleus. It's a muscle that connects to the bottom of the sole. It's really those muscles that are pulling on the bottom of that, okay? So, but this is all about the feet and keeping the feet clean, keeping the feet hydrated, keeping the feet nutrified. Like I said, and then another thing is salt baths. We're talking about like sea salt. You can put like a good sea salt's pretty cheap, right? You can, the cheap places where you can get good sea salt. Now, if you're going to buy like Himalayan sea salt or the pink salt, that's this Alea salt from the Mediterranean mixed with some Hawaiian Alea clay, or it's Alessi mixed with this Hawaiian Alea clay. It's very expensive. It's gone up, like salt has gone way, way up. But you can buy good sea salt at an Asian market. So I go to this Asian market here in Detroit, and there's a lot of places all over the country. There's Asian markets. You can find big bags of salt that they use for making kimchi. It's in like big granulars, or you could even use kosher salt, which is you can get bigger amounts that come pretty cheap. You want to make it so that this bucket of water that you're putting your feet tastes salty. Not a little bit of salt, but has like a salty taste to it. About the saltiness of seawater, okay? Soaking your feet in sea salt helps to pull excess moisture off. Salt is actually a curative. It cures your feet, but it creates chlorine. So again, people can, well, why don't I just do it in chlorine? Well, chlorine is, yes, you can put a little bit of chlorine in the water, right? That basically kills anything like a sanitizer. But sea salt makes its own chlorine. What are you talking about, Jason? Well, okay, if you remember chemistry class, what is sea salt, or what is salt? Table salt or any salt. It's NaCl, sodium chloride. So the Cl is a chloride, but it's bound to a sodium, okay? But over time, what happens is the chloride starts to come out of solution and starts to then form chlorine, especially if you have an electrical thing that's going on there, like that bubbler type of thing. The sea salt that's in there, it will start to release the chloride and then form chlorine, natural. And so like even those big salt paths, the salt pools, some pools have chlorine, and then there are some that are salt pools, which is it's like being in sea salt. If you live by the ocean, if you live by the seawater, get your feet in the seawater. Get your feet in there and massage your feet in the sand, massage your feet in the water, keeping your feet clean, but also keeping your feet really moving, massaging and moving those toes. Like I talk about where you're bending the toes back and forth. I like that one where I'm taking the towel, and I'll even take the towel and I'll go back and forth like this so that my toes go back and forth like this. And that's really massaging and getting a lot of good blood flow in there. I don't have any toenail fungus at all. I have some family members who do, and I'm telling you, toenail fungus is really, really hard to treat. Even the podiatrist, like they'll say, well, we'll do laser treatment, or we'll cut your toenails off and let them grow back. They grow back again and again and again, getting the fungus. Why? Because it's the blood flow. It is also the hygiene. If your foot is constantly jammed into these shoes that make them wet, you don't change your socks often, you don't clean your feet, you don't do a nighttime routine, then it's a foregone conclusion that you're going to get toenail fungus. And they can cut all the toenails off, and you can still get the fungus inside the feet, inside the toes, inside the bloodstream, even if there's no toenail there for it to grow under. And that starts to creep up inside your body, and that starts to age the body. So again, teeth and feet are one of the number answers for how do I keep the wrinkles away? How do I make sure I can age appropriately? And again, when people get old, one of the things when they stop moving, how come you're not walking very well? They will oftentimes say, it's because my feet hurt, because my toes hurt. So keeping the toes limber up until you're old allows you to keep moving. And the movement of being able to go up and down the hills, going up and down steps, and go with a good pace, not just having to, people in walkers. Look at people in walkers. Now they say, well, it's my ankles and my knees and all this other, my hips hurt. Where does it start? Okay. Be suspicious of a bad hip. I need hip replacements. It started in your toes. Dirty toes that have crept all the way up and just rotted your bones away, and in particular those joints rotted away. And we know that when you have to have a joint replacement, It's not just because you're old. It's because there's some sort of infection that's gotten in there and it's eating up the bones. And the bones become swollen and inflamed, and then you lose joint cartilage and all this other stuff. It's not because the weight. It's not because of standing on the concrete. It's because there's something going on inside your body as an infection that your body is eating up the bones in order to try and fight the infection. And so it takes it from, in particular, where the joints are, because the joints, if you look at the joint bones, those are the hardest parts of your bones, not the long part, the actual joint. Those are literally, if you, again, you ever chew chicken or let's say beef bones, those hard joint bones where the femur is, where the knees are, where the ankles are, where the elbows are, they're really, really dense. Okay, so there's a lot of calcium that if the body needs it to survive and especially fight infection, it will take it from there, and it will take it from there, and then those bones, in particular, those joints, basically turns into hollow Swiss cheese, and it just falls apart, right? But again, it's not just because of time. It's because of what's going on inside your body. Because there are plenty of examples of people who have more time than you. They're way older than you, and they're spry, and they're healthy, but it's because their level of infection is low. Their level of inflammation. And anything that's inflammation is not just inflammation. Inflammation is a response. It's your natural body's response. It's fighting something. So anytime we have any type of inflammatory process, it's because there's an unseen infection inside the body. So any type of inflammatory condition, put your thinking cap on, put your eyeglass on, and start trying to track down the infection. And we treat the infection with a lot of good natural stuff. But the thing that treats infection the most is blood flow, is movement. Blood flow, get that oxygen pumping. Because the oxygen that's in your blood, if it can get to those bones or to those toes, it can kill every known infection and keep it from regrowing, because the infections only grow in unoxygenated, dirty tissues. So this is the anti-aging secret. Till next time, thanks everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. I invite you to press the like button because you liked what I had to say about your health, and also press the subscribe button to be able to easily find me and also be part of this. I look forward to helping you reclaim your health naturally.